I ain't average, and neither are you. Let me say that again because I need you to actually feel it. You are not average. You weren't put here to blend in, to follow the crowd, or to live a life that feels like it was pre-written for you. You were built to stand out, to break molds, to leave fingerprints on this world that nobody else can leave. Let's talk about mediocrity. You know what mediocrity looks like? It's hitting snooze 3 times and convincing yourself you'll start tomorrow. It's showing up just enough to get by, blending in with the crowd, never ruffling feathers, never daring to ask for more. Mediocrity is living a life that looks fine on the outside but feels empty on the inside. And I'll be honest, it's the easiest thing in the world to do. That's why so many people choose it. But here's the hard truth. Mediocrity will cost you your life. Not in the sense that you stop breathing, but in the sense that you stop living. You stop growing, stop striving, stop believing there's something greater for you. And if you're not careful, you wake up one day realizing you've traded your potential for the comfort of being just okay. Rejecting mediocrity means making a decision, a hard, uncomfortable, inconvenient decision to say, I'm done being fine, I'm done being average, I'm not settling for a life that doesn't set my soul on fire. Because let's be real, average never built a legacy. Average never changed a community. Average never inspired a single soul to stand taller. The people who make history, the ones we look up to, they all have one thing in common: they refuse to settle. Now, rejecting mediocrity doesn't mean you suddenly wake up tomorrow with a perfect plan, 6-pack abs, and $1 million business. That's not how it works. What it does mean is you stop accepting excuses. You stop letting yourself coast. You start looking at every choice you make, big or small, and asking, is this moving me closer to greatness, or is this keeping me average? Because here's the secret: greatness isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in tiny choices stacked up day after day after day. Think about it. Average is choosing Netflix over reading that book you know will stretch your mind. Average is scrolling through social media while your dreams sit collecting dust. Average is giving 80% at work because, hey, nobody's watching. But rejecting mediocrity means you give 100%, whether or not anyone claps for you. It means you turn off the noise, you open that book, you show up like it matters, because it does. The scariest part of rejecting mediocrity is that it separates you. You'll lose people. Some of you understand why you're suddenly waking up early, why you're working late, why you're saying no to things that used to feel fun. They'll call you obsessed, they'll call you crazy, they'll even try to pull you back down. Because average feels safe to them, and you breaking out of it scares them. And in that moment, you'll have a choice to shrink back to fit their comfort, or keep rising into the person you were meant to be. You see, average keeps you invisible. Rejecting mediocrity makes you undeniable. Average gives you excuses. Rejecting mediocrity forces you to take responsibility. Average lets you hide. Rejecting mediocrity pushes you into the spotlight of your own life, where you can't ignore your potential anymore. I know it's uncomfortable. I know it's hard. But that's the point. Growth never feels like comfort. And the minute you get comfortable being uncomfortable, you step into a whole new level of life. That's when doors open, opportunities appear, and you start to feel that deep, unshakable confidence that only comes from knowing you're giving it everything you've got. So let me ask you, are you really okay being average? Are you okay knowing you've got more inside you, but you're too scared to use it? Because I'll tell you this, you will never regret giving your best, but you will regret coasting. You will regret settling. You will regret letting fear trick you into a life that looks average when you were born to be extraordinary. Rejecting mediocrity is the first step. It's the line you draw in the sand. It's the decision that says, I will not waste my potential. And once you make that choice, everything else, the discipline, the setbacks, the intentionality, they all flow from that one decision. So decide today. Don't wait. Don't say someday. Say it now. I ain't average, and I refuse to live like I am. Let me tell you something most people forget. Your power is in your difference, not your sameness. The very things you've been trying to hide, to water down, to fit in, those are the exact things that make you unstoppable. Owning your uniqueness is about rejecting the idea that you have to play small, blend in, or follow the script that someone else wrote for your life. Think about it. From the time we were kids, we've been taught to color inside the lines. Don't talk too loud. Don't be too ambitious. Don't dress that way. Don't think like that. Slowly but surely, society trains us to sand down our edges until we all start looking the same, acting the same, thinking the same. But here's the truth. If you're just a copy of everyone else, you're not living, you're existing. And you were not born to exist. You were born to stand out. Owning your uniqueness starts with accepting that you're not supposed to be average. That quirky idea in your head. That passion nobody else understands. That weird mix of talents that don't seem to fit together. That's not random. That's your edge. That's your leverage. That's the thing that will take you further than anyone who plays by the rules of average. Let's be real. Average feels safe because it gives you approval. It keeps you in the pack. You don't have to risk being judged or misunderstood. But here's the cost: you also never get to be truly seen. And if you're not willing to be seen as who you really are, you'll spend your whole life pretending, performing, and never feeling fulfilled. Owning your uniqueness isn't about being loud for the sake of being loud. It's not about being different just to get attention. It's about standing unapologetically in the truth of who you are, even if it makes people uncomfortable. Because guess what? The right people will be drawn to you, and the wrong people will drift away. And that's a gift. You don't need everyone to like you. You just need the right people to see you for who you really are. The irony is, the very things you think disqualify you are usually the things that qualify you. Maybe you grew up struggling financially. That perspective could be the fuel for you to build businesses that help others rise. Maybe you failed over and over in school. That resilience could be the reason you push harder than anyone else. Maybe you've been told you're too much your entire life. What if that energy, that fire, that boldness is exactly what the world needs from you? Average says, tone it down. Uniqueness says, turn it up. When you own your uniqueness, something powerful happens. You stop competing. You stop measuring yourself against everybody else because you realize nobody else is you. And when nobody else is you, there's no competition. There's only you versus yesterday's version of you. That's it. This isn't always easy. People will criticize you. They'll question you. They'll tell you that your dreams don't make sense, that your vision is too big, that you should be realistic. But hear me clearly, realism is just another word for average. You don't need realistic. You need bold. You need courageous. You need unapologetic. And here's the best part. Once you step into your uniqueness, you give others permission to do the same. When someone sees you showing up authentically, chasing your dream, refusing to shrink, it sparks something inside them. It says, if they can do it, maybe I can too. That's leadership. That's impact. That's legacy. So let me ask you this. What have you been hiding? What talent have you been downplaying because you're afraid of what people will think? What dream have you been putting on the shelf because it feels too big? For someone like you, stop shelving it. Stop shrinking it. Own it. That's your power. That's your unfair advantage. The truth is, you'll never feel truly alive until you embrace the person you were created to be. Fully, fiercely, unapologetically, because average people conform. Extraordinary people own their uniqueness. And you ain't average. Let's be honest. Everyone loves comfort. We love the cozy bed, the endless scroll, the easy way out. Comfort feels good in the moment, but comfort kills greatness. Comfort is the silent thief of dreams. And if you want to live a life that screams, I ain't average, You've got to make a choice, discipline over comfort. Every single time. See, discipline isn't sexy. Nobody cheers when you wake up at 5 a.m. to work on your craft. Nobody throws a parade when you skip the party to study, train, or build. Nobody claps when you choose the salad instead of the burger. But you know what does clap? Results. Results are the loudest applause you'll ever get. And results don't come from comfort, they come from discipline. The truth is, comfort is short-term happiness that leads to long-term regret. Discipline is short-term discomfort that leads to long-term fulfillment. Which one sounds better? I'll take fulfillment over regret any day. Here's the problem: average people chase comfort. They'll do whatever it takes to avoid pain, avoid sacrifice, avoid the hard stuff. But extraordinary people, they lean into it. They understand that discipline is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. You can't cross that bridge sitting in your comfort zone. Think about athletes. They don't get to the top because they're comfortable. They get there because they wake up before sunrise, because they push their bodies past the point where most people quit, because they choose the grind over the couch. Entrepreneurs don't build businesses by binge, watching shows all night. They build them by showing up consistently, by staying up when everyone else goes to sleep, by doing the boring, repetitive tasks that nobody sees, but everybody benefits from. Discipline isn't about motivation. Motivation is a spark. It's great for starting, but it's not enough to keep you going. Discipline is the engine. It's what keeps you moving when the spark is gone. It's what makes you show up on the days you don't feel like it. The days you're tired, the days when comfort whispers, "Take it easy, you deserve a break." Here's a hard truth comfort will always lie to you. Comfort says, "You can start tomorrow." Comfort says, "One more scroll won't hurt." Comfort says, "Nobody's watching, so it doesn't matter." But discipline tells the truth. Discipline says, "Do it now." Discipline says, "Your future self is watching." Discipline says, "If you don't sacrifice today, you'll pay for it tomorrow." And you know what else? Discipline gives you freedom. Most people think it's the opposite. They think discipline means rules, restrictions, no fun. But here's the paradox: when you build discipline, you actually gain freedom. Freedom from regret, freedom from guilt, freedom from living a life of what if. You get to walk into opportunities fully prepared because you did the work when nobody else did. That's freedom. Average people live for the weekend. Disciplined people build a life they don't need a weekend to escape from. Average people wait for motivation. Disciplined people act without it. Average people choose comfort in the moment and regret it later. Disciplined people embrace discomfort now so they can live with pride later. So how do you build discipline? Start small. Do one thing every day that your comfortable self doesn't want to do. Wake up a little earlier. Put your phone down and read for 10 minutes. Take that walk instead of scrolling. Do the hard conversation instead of avoiding it. The more you practice discipline, the stronger it gets, like a muscle. And over time, that muscle will carry you through challenges that crush average people. Here's the bottom line: comfort is cheap. Discipline is priceless. Comfort will give you nothing but wasted time and someday dreams. Discipline will give you pride, progress, and power. So every single time you're faced with the choice, comfort or discipline, remember who you are. Remember that you ain't average. And if you're not average, then stop living like you are. Let's get something straight: setbacks are not proof that you're failing. They're proof that you're in the game. Nobody escapes setbacks. Nobody builds a life worth living without getting knocked down, humiliated, or disappointed. The difference between average people and extraordinary people is simple: average people let setbacks define them. Extraordinary people let setbacks refine them. Think about it. Every person you admire, every name that's ever inspired you, every story you've ever clung to, it all has one common thread: failure, rejection, loss, pain. The only reason you know their names is because they decided the story didn't end there. They turn setbacks into setups. They use rejection as redirection. They let pain fuel their purpose. But let's be real. When you're in it, when you've just lost the job, when your business idea tanks, when the relationship falls apart, when the plan you poured your heart into blows up in your face, it hurts. It makes you question yourself. It whispers lies like, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe I should quit. Maybe I'm just average after all. And this is the exact moment that separates people. This is the fork in the road. Do you buy into the lie and let the setback bury you? Or do you rise and let the setback build you? Here's what average people do. They stop trying. They let failure harden their hearts. They lower their expectations so they never have to feel that sting again. And before they know it, their whole life is built around avoiding disappointment instead of chasing dreams. But you ain't average. You're not here to avoid pain. You're here to grow through it. Rising through setbacks means you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what's this teaching me? Because every single setback carries a lesson. Every rejection is feedback. Every failure is a classroom. If you're brave enough to lean in, you'll come out stronger, sharper, hungrier. Let me give you the truth that average people don't want to hear. Setbacks are not obstacles. They are prerequisites. You don't get the success without the struggle. You don't get the crown without the cross. Every great story has a dark chapter. And if you're in the dark chapter right now, it's not the end, it's the middle. Keep going. Rising through setbacks also means you stop treating them as personal attacks. Life isn't out to get you. The world isn't conspiring against you. What's happening is resistance, and resistance exists to build muscle. Just like lifting weights tears muscle fibers so they can grow back stronger, setbacks tear at your character so it can rebuild tougher. But here's the part most people miss. Rising doesn't always mean bouncing back fast. Sometimes it means crawling. Sometimes it means crying. Sometimes it means resting before you move again. Rising isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about refusing to stay down. And don't underestimate the power of resilience. When you rise through setbacks, you build something average people never touch: unshakable confidence. Confidence isn't built by winning every time. It's built by losing and realizing you can survive, adapt, and come back even stronger. When you've risen once, twice, 10 times, you start to know deep in your bones nothing can stop you. So let me ask you, what setback are you letting define you right now? What failure are you dragging around like a label? What pain are you replaying instead of rising from? Stop letting your setbacks chain you to average. Stand up, dust yourself off. Look life in the eye and say, you can knock me down, but you cannot keep me there. Because that's the difference. Average people see setbacks as dead ends. Extraordinary people see them as detours. And if you ain't average, you already know your setback is not your sentence. It's your setup for a comeback. Let me be real with you, most people are drifting. They wake up when the alarm tells them to. They go where they're told to go. They do just enough to get by. They let life happen to them instead of creating life for themselves. That's what average looks like. Average is reactive. Extraordinary. Extraordinary is intentional. Living with intentionality means you stop moving through life on autopilot. You stop letting the days blur together. You stop waiting for someday and start asking yourself every single morning, what am I building today? What choices am I making that actually move me closer to the life I want? Because here's the truth, your life is nothing but the accumulation of the choices you make every day. And if you don't choose with intention, you'll wake up years from now stuck in a life you never actually wanted. Intentionality is about ownership. It's standing up and saying, this is my life, and I will not waste it. It's refusing to hand the steering wheel over to comfort, fear, or other people's opinions. When you live with intentionality, you design your days, you shape your environment, you choose your influences. You don't just go with the flow, you create the current. Average people say, I didn't have time. Intentional people say, I didn't prioritize it. That's the difference. When you live with intentionality, you stop lying to yourself. You stop pretending time slips away by accident. You recognize that every yes and every no is building your life brick by brick. Here's the kicker: intentionality doesn't just happen. It requires clarity. If you don't know what you want, you'll say yes to everything, and that's the fastest way to dilute your purpose. You've got to decide what matters to you. Decide what kind of person you want to be. Decide what kind of legacy you want to leave. Then let those decisions guide your actions. And don't confuse intentionality with perfection. Living with intentionality doesn't mean you've got every step mapped out. It means you move with purpose. It means you stop wasting hours, days, years on things that don't matter. It means you check in with yourself often and ask, am I aligned with my purpose, or am I just going through the motions? Let me give you an example. Average people spend their nights scrolling, binging, numbing out. Intentional people might still relax, but they choose how and why. They invest their time where it feeds their soul, not just fills their boredom. Average people let their money slip through their fingers. Intentional people decide where every dollar goes because they know their money is building their future. Average people fill their circle with whoever happens to be around. Intentional people curate their circle because they know the people closest to them will either pull them forward or hold them back. Living with intentionality also means saying no a lot more. No to distractions. No to obligations that drain you. No to living somebody else's version of success. Every no you say to what doesn't matter is a yes to what does. And when you start aligning your yeses and nos with your vision, your life changes fast. Here's the beautiful thing: intentionality compounds. The small, intentional actions you take today stack up. They build momentum. They create opportunities. And before you know it, you look back and realize, while everybody else was drifting, you were designing. While they were waiting for luck, you were building. While they were settling, you were rising. So let me ask you this: are you living your life on purpose, or are you letting it pass you by? Because at the end of the day, it won't be your intentions that define your life. It'll be your intentional actions. Living with intentionality is the final nail in the coffin of average. It's what separates the dreamers from the doers, the wanderers from the warriors, the passive from the powerful. And if you're serious about living a life that screams, I ain't average, then stop drifting. Get intentional. Build the life you know you were meant to live.